It's time for the Daily Planet podcast show. So sit back, relax, and give us a go. Scott and Matt and maybe a guest have undertaken an epic pod quest. We're gonna ramble on about movies and books and television and directors and film festivals and this really long list of stuff that I know nothing about, but they gave it to me and they really wanted me to read through it. And that's all I can really say about it, but it's gonna be great. Okay, start the show.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Planet Podcast, your weekly podcast for all things movies, TV, books, and anything else we feel like talking about. My name is Scott Daly, and I'm your host, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host and co-excited about fall movie season person, Michael Grubb. Michael, how's it going?
Oh, doing pretty good, Scott. Just watched a bunch of trailers and excited to talk about them.
Yeah, so we're going to do, we're in September now. We're actually mid-September right now already somehow. I don't know how that happened that quickly, but it's time for the Oscar season. It's time for the fall. Summer is over, and now we have fall movies, which are stereotypically the more like awards type movies, more dramas than action movies. But also, as I think we're going to see as we go through these films, Michael, that's changing a little bit too. There's a lot of big blockbuster films on our list here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that stood out to me the most, which are not really big, I mean, I guess kind of a blend, the kind of blend between blockbuster movies and award chasing movies to me are like the based on true story epic biopics.
There's a lot of those on this list.
There's a lot of those, and I really hate those movies. But I think the studios are onto something with like trying to be part of both worlds, because they're always do well at the box office and they always are up for like acting awards and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So yeah, we're going to cover, I think, 25 movies over the course of this thing. We're not covering every single movie that's coming out in the fall, because that would be ridiculous. We're going to do the big ones. We're going to do the ones that seem to have Oscar bait written all over them, and some of the ones that look terrible, but not all the ones that look terrible. I'm not going to talk about the Lego Ninjago movie, Michael. There's not much to say there.
Why not, Scott? Why wouldn't you? The Lego movies are great, though.
I know, but I think this is
going to be the end.
Yeah, well, Lego Movie 2 is going to come out. I'm sure it'll be good, but I think this is going to be the point at which they pushed it a little too far. Because Lego Batman made sense because it was one of the most popular characters.
I thought all the other ones were pushing it too far, but I've been consistently surprised. So
yeah, you're right.
We'll see.
Right. All right. So before we get into all that, though, we do have some news updates, because we talked about something last week, Michael, and there's been some new developments. Last week we talked about how Colin Trevorrow is out as the director of Star Wars Episode 9, and then this past week they made an announcement on who is in. And you'll never guess who it is, Michael.
Is it J.J. Abrams?
It is J.J. Abrams. The director.
What a safe choice.
I know, right? Yeah, so J.J. Abrams is back in the director chair. He's also going to be writing as well, or at least co-writing. Just like he did with Episode 7, he's co-writing this one. This time with Chris Terrio, who wrote Argo, which was, I thought, a pretty good movie, but also had a hand in Batman v Superman, which was not a good movie. Although, to Chris Terrio's defense, he is kind of like Ben Affleck's new Matt Damon. So he's like the guy that he writes stuff with. So Affleck actually had Terrio come in late in the Batman vs Superman project to help clean up the film. So
I liked Ben Affleck's old Matt Damon.
You mean Matt Damon?
Yeah. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know about this. I mean, J.J. Abrams is notoriously bad at finishing things.
You're so right. I mean, you're so right.
Know? And like having him set up the story with like a bunch of mysteries that he has no idea where they're going to go is a reasonable challenge for the directors of the next couple movies.
Right.
But he's never really made a satisfying ending in his life.
No, he has not. And that's, I mean, like, because on the surface, like you said, this appears to be a very safe choice. But I think you're absolutely right that this could be less safe than you would think, because of Abrams' infamy in that regard.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed. It's like Episode 7 was fine. Like, I didn't think it was great, but it wasn't bad. It was just fine. And I guess we're just gonna have fine Star Wars movies, which are gonna make billions of dollars, and everyone at the corporation level will be happy. But I don't know.
It's kind of losing its magic for me.
Yeah, it is me too. And I've seen them both. You know, the thing that is crazy to me is Matt has yet to see Rogue One still. Matt, who is I like Star Wars. Matt loves Star Wars. Matt loved the original trilogy. And for him to just be so kind of indifferent that he can't bother to see Rogue One yet is telling, I think. And I think that's just going to keep happening. Yeah,
Star Wars used to hold a certain power for me, but I think it's all gone now. I mean, not to say that Star Wars hasn't always been like ruthlessly commercial in terms of its merchandising and everything, but George Lucas at least used to be very protective of like the movies. And then of course he messed up the prequels and couldn't live with the shame. So he rid himself of the property, but
yeah,
now it's just going to be like movie after movie of just exploitive, nostalgia-ridden dribble.
Yeah.
It's the same stories over and over.
Yeah, I'm still cautiously optimistic for episode 8 because I really do like Rian Johnson, but and I say this every time we talk Star Wars, and eventually I'm going to have to come to terms with the fact that even with Rian Johnson behind the helm, the movie probably will not be significantly different from every other movie that Disney has made in this series. So,
I mean, these are movies that have been commissioned. These are not movies that a director has had a vision for,
right?
And then tried to get made. Like this is a company hiring him to make a particular movie.
Yeah.
So that I think generally is not a great way to do it.
I agree, unfortunately. So, all right, the next thing I wanted to talk about is John Wick. Have you ever seen the John Wick movies?
I did, yeah. I saw the first one, but I didn't. And it was super hyped at the time as like this revolutionary new action movie, but it really just seemed like an action movie to me.
I thought it was a very well done action movie, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the mythology behind it. I enjoyed the expansion of that mythology in the second one, and we're going to get a third one. It's official. John Wick Chapter 3 is coming May 17th, 2019. I think they've said that this will be the end. This is just a trilogy and this will be the end. Although they are making a TV show spinoff because it's 2017 in America. So that's what we do now. So they are going to have a TV show spinoff about the Continental, the hotel. And I guess they're going to just explore that mythology a little bit more, which I think is generally fine. I think
I think each episode should start with him getting a new pet and then it getting killed and then him seeking revenge.
The second one did not have that. The dog did not die in the second one.
Okay.
His car did get destroyed and his house was blown up. So
okay. Well, I mean, you can get revenge for that too, I guess.
Yeah. So I think Keanu Reeves is on board. Everything's set for that, and I guess they're going to start writing here pretty soon. But I'm into it. I really enjoyed those two movies, and I hope we cap this trilogy. I hope we are willing to part with the John Wick character at the end of this third movie, because
no one's willing to part with any successful movie franchise.
Stop being so pessimistic, Michael.
It's gotta, no matter what you love, they'll ruin it. Drag it into the dirt.
You're such a pessimist.
Just when it comes to, it's going to happen. There's no way they're going to end any successful movie series. Like, it's not about trilogies these days. It's about like how long can it go? How many crossovers can we do? Yeah.
Which is funny because like we were just talking about episode 9 being the end of a trilogy, but there's going to be an episode 10. Oh, yeah. Like that's going to happen.
There's going to be a 10.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. So that's John Wick, May 17th, 2019. I'm still excited. I'm still optimistic. We'll see. Finally, I wanted to talk about Darren Aronofsky's new film, Mother, which came out this past week. Michael, I'm going to talk about this movie specifically at the end of the podcast, but this received an F cinema score. So audiences, basically, how cinema score works, it's an LA-based like marketing company, and they do like spot interviews and ratings with actual moviegoers as they exit the theater. And asked them to rank the movie from A to F, and it got an F. And it's only the 12th movie since the system was invented in 1979 to receive an F. So that's pretty bad.
That's pretty impressive, actually. It makes me really want to watch it.
Yeah, it's the movies, and I wish I had the list pulled up here, but the movies that tend to get F tend to be some of the most interesting movies because
Yeah.
they piss people off in
It's
some
all
way.
about people's initial reactions
Right.
rather than their reflective analysis.
Right. And it's a lot of them are horror movies, because I think half of the list at least is horror films, because what happens is you bill a movie a certain way, especially with horror movies. The marketers really like doing this, is billing this as your standard typical horror film. They did that with Mother. Mother is not a horror movie, not even close. There are some kind of scary parts in it, but it's mostly just tense and psychological and dealing with allegory and metaphor a lot. And so people go into it, horror fans go into it expecting this horror film, and they did not get it, so they walk out mad. So whenever a movie's set up to be something and ends up being something else, that tends to piss people off. And when they get interviewed about it right after, they are honest about their feelings. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think this movie's gonna wear that F with a badge of honor, though.
Yeah. Do you think that it was a mistake for them to advertise it the way they did, or did that like enhance what the resulting movie ended up being?
So, I mean, I was definitely not expecting what I got, but I do think that was good. I like that. I will say that I can't think of a way in which you could advertise this movie and really explain what it is without ruining what it is, because kind of the mystery of what's going on in this film is a big part of it.
Right.
It is a very uncomfortable movie. It is a very challenging movie. It's a movie that you are probably going to have a strong opinion on one way or the other. That's just the way it is. So to the credit of the marketers, I don't know how you advertise this movie at all. I don't know how a studio greenlit this movie. It's kind of like ridiculous. It's almost as if Aronofsky said, "Hey, I got Jennifer Lawrence," and the studio just said, "Okay, here's $30 million. We're not going to look at it."
That's what I was going to suggest. Is the reason.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, because the movie, by the way, box office update, did $8 million this weekend, which is pretty terrible. It was open in, I think, 2,600 theaters around the country. So to only do that much is very bad. That's a bomb.
Right.
And so it's not going to do well, but it's a movie that I think people are going to be talking about for a long time. And I think that's good and interesting, and we need movies like that. So
Darren Aronofsky usually does pretty interesting movies, and that each one is a unique thing that's a little bit hard to define.
Yeah, and they're also very difficult to watch, and they tend to make people very uncomfortable. My wife, bless her heart, had a very hard time with this movie and almost walked out. There was just a partner in the third act that she just could not deal with. Like not even like emotionally, just like the physicality of what was happening like became too much for her to take. And she stayed, but she did not like this movie. And I understand why she didn't like this movie. There's the people that hate this movie. I get it. I do get it. But it worked on me on a very specific level.
Right.
So I kind of just spoiled my at the end thing, but that's okay.
Oh, well.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about the fall movie season.
Okay.
We're going to go all the way to December. I know December is technically winter and it's not fall, but I don't care. This is our show.
Might as well finish off the year.
Right. All right. So let's go. We're going to go right into September, and we're going to start next weekend with Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Michael, did you ever see the first Kingsman movie?
I did. And it was fantastic.
Oh, good. I like that you liked it. Yeah. I really liked it too. I think it was James Bond without the weight of the history of James Bond. So it was like allowed to just be fun and ridiculous.
I think it has a very different, because the thing about James Bond that annoys the crap out of me is how serious it takes itself. Because, you know, he does his little quips and stuff, but there's still like these, the character takes himself very seriously, and there's always these really serious things going on. And this movie didn't, but not to the extreme of like Austin Powers. Like, it's not a parody. It's a spy movie that's like actually fun. Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson's character with just his like lisp and stuff was just like hilarious. It had its great moments that added some seriousness to it as well, but ultimately it was just a good comedy.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm very excited about this one. The most interesting thing about The Golden Circle is that Matthew Vaughn is back directing and writing, which is something he's really never done. He likes to start series. He's in J.J. Abrams in that regard. Like, he did the X-Men First Class, that X-Men soft reboot. He did the first Kick-Ass, right? And then he left, and he did this, and then he left. he's never come back to any of the series he started. So it's very interesting to see what a second look into this universe from the same guy would look like.
I mean, that being said, though, as much as I like the first one, I'm a little bit skeptical about the sequel, just because I'm skeptical about sequels in general. Like, it was a great idea and it was funny, but now, like, this whole take on the American version of this silly secret organization with like cowboys and stuff seems like it might be a little bit corny. But I also thought the first one was going to be corny, but it surprised me. So we'll see.
I think it is going to be corny on some level. I just hope it's corny in a funny and effective
in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
The only thing I'm shaky on is the fact that they brought back Colin Firth. And
what's up with that? Why would? There's no need to do that.
I don't know.
They better have a good reason for it.
I mean, he's wearing an eye patch, so maybe he just got shot in the eye instead of the brain. I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
Hopefully they find an interesting in-world reason for that other than just people liked him in the last movie, so we brought him back.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see.
All right. The next film that also comes out September 22nd is Battle of the Sexes. This comes out in limited release. This is the tennis film by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Ferris about a female and a male tennis star, Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs, who I think this isn't one of your based on a true story movies, Michael.
Yep. Starts them off.
Yeah, played by Emma Stone and Steve Carell. What did you think about the trailer? Are you in on this one? Are you?
No, I'm out on this one. It's another one of those biopics of like someone who like no one believed in, and then they showed everyone. I'm done with those movies, and I don't care about tennis that much. And this was all happened before my time, so I don't really have any particular nostalgia for this moment in history.
Okay. See, I'm kind of torn. I've heard some good stuff because I think this played it at Toronto. So I think people have seen it and were generally favorable towards it. I like Emma Stone a lot. I'm pretty mixed about Steve Carell. I think he can be good in some situations and not great in others.
Right.
So I will probably end up seeing this, but I think it's lower on my list of things that I want to see. I'm not sure if this is going to do a lot of great Oscar type movement, even though it seems like it's trying to, but.
Yeah, it doesn't have like a half retard or anything for the actor to...
Can't say that word.
I'm sorry. But, the whole Tropic Thunder...
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
...theory, which is just funny because it's so spot on.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's Battle of the Sexes, limited release on the 22nd. Also that week, Michael, is the Lego Ninjago movie. I don't know what to say about this other than there's a new Lego movie.
I think I'm in, Scott. I think I'm in. I think I'm in on this.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, the trailers look interesting. They look like the same kind of humor that the other Lego movies have had. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, like I said, it amazed me how good the first one was, because I went to the first Lego movie just being like, why would you make a movie about Legos and they're Legos? And it just looked so frivolous, but it had like such a great like message and everything, that I'm going to give this one a shot.
All right. Maybe that's what we'll be talking. Well, no, I won't be here next week. So maybe that's what you'll be talking about next week on the Daily Planet podcast.
Yeah.
The Lego Ninjago movie.
It sounds like the kind of movie Matt might have to go see. So
yeah, maybe. All right. Next we have on September 29th, American Made. This is the Doug Liman, Tom Cruise team up. They're teaming up once again about a based on a true story movie, Michael, about a pilot who worked for the CIA named Barry Seal, and he was a drug runner in South America in the 80s. I like Doug Liman a lot, Michael. I like Tom Cruise a fair amount. Mm-hmm. I like when they team up. I'm not really interested in this movie at all.
No, not me neither. It gives me kind of Wolf of Wall Street vibes in terms of it's like this guy and he kind of like goes crazy with his money and stuff. And there's like this really annoying scene where Tom Cruise is like offering all of these policemen like cars full of money, and then he gets off anyway, and he's like, "Oh, you should have taken the money." And it's just the movie about this like successful asshole
Yeah.
kind of thing that is kind of grating.
And I don't think Tom Cruise can do these kind of roles anymore in an interesting way. Like Tom Cruise either needs to be like full spectacle Mission Impossible type stuff, or do like go really weird, like his Tropic Thunder role. Like that was great. And these kind of middle ground movies where he's just a normal guy, but also Tom Cruise. I'm just like, I don't care.
Right. Also, I mean, maybe I'm misreading the character in the movie, but you know, Tom Cruise is so freaking charismatic that it might not be the right role for him to play this like unlikable drug smuggler.
Yeah.
You know,
I think you're not wrong. Yeah, that he makes any role he plays, the fast talking, high charisma can convince you of anything guy, but that doesn't always work. And that's why I loved Edge of Tomorrow or Live Die Repeat so much, because like Doug Liman in that movie took him and used that type of personality against him, where just no one gave a shit about his fast talking, smooth, overconfident shit.
Yeah, that was a great movie. And
it seems here that we're just not going to do that. We're just not interested in exploring that really well. We just have this biopic, and that's it.
Yeah, true stories.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Oh, right. Before we moved on from the 29th, I just wanted to touch on one movie really quick called Lucky. I believe this is coming out in a limited release on the 29th. And the only reason I bring this up is because Harry Dean Stanton is the star of this movie, who just unfortunately passed away just a couple days ago as we're recording this. So this is probably his last starring role. He's an excellent actor, and this looks like a very interesting movie that I hope I have time to go see.
Yeah. Does it have a wide release? Or?
I'm not sure. I have it written down as limited. I'm sure they might send it a little more wide after, unfortunately after his passing. But yeah, it looks like a nice, like, kind of character study film about this guy, this very old man played by a very old man, and Harry Dean Stanton's so great, and rest in peace. And I want to see that movie. So, all right, let's move on. We're in October now, Michael, and October 6th.
I can see it now. The fall color, the
pumpkin,
the chilly winds.
Well, I live in Texas, so there will no chilly winds. But Blade Runner 2049 comes out October 6th. This is Denis Villeneuve's sequel to Ridley Scott's film. Harrison Ford is back. Ryan Gosling is our lead. What do you think about this, Michael?
I think it's unnecessary. I think it's just another one of these movies from Harrison Ford's glory days that will just be really sad to watch. He's got to kill off all of his characters so people stop asking him to replay them. I think that's what his strategy is. Yeah, I feel really bad for him, actually.
I mean, don't feel too bad. He has a lot of money.
He's got a lot of money, but, you know, he's kind of, it's like everyone only cares about all of his 80s movies. Yeah.
They're like, so here's the thing. I did not love Blade Runner. I thought it was a good movie with a really great soundtrack. And so I was not like ever like really into, I need to see more of this world. Right. But also, I think Denis Villeneuve is one of the better directors working right now. So if anyone was going to take on this completely unnecessary project and have something interesting to do or say with it, I think he could be the one.
Completely unnecessary project is a good description for this movie.
So, yeah, I mean, I think the only reason I am in on this movie is Denis Villeneuve, and I want to see what he does. And I hope he continues to make original films and not get into this cycle of sequels to beloved classics.
Right.
Because I like him better as an original guy.
It's just the trailer is just so exploitive of the Harrison Ford thing. I don't know how many trailers there've been now where there's just been like a movie and then like there'll be like a bit of quiet in the music or whatever, and then Harrison Ford will like appear and say one of his old lines, or something like that. And then that's supposed to that's like the climax of the trailer and how they've edited it.
Yeah.
And it makes you, it makes me immediately like skeptical that the movie has a point other than like, look, Harrison Ford's back in one of his things.
I can't believe we're doing Indiana Jones 5. I still can't believe that's happening.
Oh my God, is it?
Yep. All right, let's move on. The other movie coming out, and I think limited release on the 6th of October, is The Florida Project. This is the follow-up film from Sean Baker, who did Tangerine a couple of years ago, which was one of my favorite movies of that year. This stars Willem Dafoe as a guy working for a hotel that is in like, I guess there's all these like hotels around Disney World that are like just outside of the Disney World property where people go to be close to Disney World and then just end up staying. And this is about a little girl that lives at this hotel, and Willem Dafoe's character serves as kind of her mentor. I love Sean Baker. I think Willem Dafoe looks great in this. I think he's going to win an Oscar from this movie. Everything I've heard about people that have seen this movie say it is like incredible. So I am so in on this one.
Yeah, I like Willem Dafoe a lot. I think he's been underrated as an actor. The trailer didn't make me super interested, but it does seem like a sort of genuine movie about humans and how they interact with each other.
Yeah.
So the movie has integrity, and I will probably watch it.
Yeah. All right, cool. So moving on to the 13th of October, we have The Foreigner, and Jackie Chan is back.
He's back.
And so is Pierce Brosnan. This is directed by Martin Campbell. Jackie Chan, his daughter gets killed in a terrorist act, and he decides to be Jackie Chan and get revenge. I am into it. I think this is like an older, more serious Jackie Chan, and I've always liked the guy, and I always want to see him do stuff. So I want to see this. I don't know how good it's going to end up being, but I like seeing him work, and I like seeing him try his hand at a little bit of drama. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm skeptical. I really like Jackie Chan too, but his greatest roles have been, slightly comedic and an action oriented, and this is an action movie, but much more serious.
Yeah.
And he has dabbled in the serious before, and he comes off pretty well. But as far as the action is concerned, I can't help but think this will be a little bit disappointing, because his action is usually so impressive because he does these takes over and over to do these really incredible physical things, like jumping from far away through a tiny hole or something. And from the trailer, none of that is demonstrated because he's like 65 or something.
Yeah, he's an old man. He can't keep doing this stuff. He's not Tom Cruise.
So it's gonna be different from a normal Jackie Chan movie.
Yeah.
And I usually don't like pure action movies, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to be a new phase of his career, and I hope it's a successful phase for him. Like we saw Liam Neeson kind of do this old man action star thing when he started with his Taken movies, where he's doing actiony movies, but he's doing them mostly like, I'm going to fight you with guns so I don't have to do a lot of physical stuff. And I hope, like, I want Jackie Chan to continue to be successful. I want him to continue to get work and do great things. So if he can transition to this new kind of action movie for an older type of guy, then I'm for it. So I'm really rooting for this movie.
Yeah, me too.
All right, cool. The other thing that's coming out, and I didn't make you watch the trailers for these, but I just wanted to point them out. A film called Marshall, starring Chadwick Boseman, that's about the Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. It's coming out. Looks interesting. And then there's a movie called Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman, which is about the man who created the Wonder Woman comics and the women that helped him do that. And I saw the trailer for this for the first time this past weekend, and it looked really interesting. I think it's kind of interesting timing that they managed to get this right when Wonder Woman frenzy is kind of at an all-time high.
I'm sure this was on purpose.
It could have. I mean, but they had no idea of knowing how huge that movie was going to be. So
perhaps they know. They always know.
They always know. I wish that were true. I wish Hollywood always knew things. Then they'd stop making stupid decisions. Like our next movie, which comes out on October 20th. Michael, what do you think of Geostorm?
Geostorm. This is the next disaster movie in a long line of unimaginative disaster movies. This one, though, has like a sci-fi twist to it, which kind of changes the themes of the movie a little bit, because the disaster movies are usually like man versus nature.
Yeah.
And this one is a little bit more like man now controls nature. So it's kind of like man versus man controlling nature. So, maybe the sci-fi elements will make it more interesting than it normally is, which is just like a man like taking his family through like a disaster-scape city and trying to protect them from earthquakes or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. These movies are, it doesn't look too, despite all of that, it still looks like it follows the same formula.
Yeah. And this is directed by Dean Devlin, who has never, I think, directed a film. He's been a producer on a lot of the films that you wouldn't be surprised to hear, both Independence Day movies, Godzilla in the 90s, a lot of your 90s disaster movie craze movies he produced. Mm-hmm. So he's going to try to direct now. Yeah, this is weird because this is the type of movie that you think they would absolutely drop in the middle of summer, and it's coming out in October, which to me doesn't show a lot of faith in the ability of this film to perform at all. I like Gerard Butler and the weird decisions he makes as far as the movies he stars in, but yeah, this is not going to be good.
Yeah, I don't think so. It'll just attract the usual demographic of people who go to see these movies.
Yeah.
And then everyone will forget about it.
Yeah. Also coming out October 20th, though, is The Snowman. This is a crime thriller horror film about a serial killer. It's based off of a hit international novel. Actually, it's written by a Norwegian guy, and I saw this book everywhere when I was in Norway this summer. So this is very big internationally, and they're bringing it to the film. So this stars Michael Fassbender and Rebecca Ferguson and Chloe Sevigny. I think I pronounced her name right. I don't know. Michael, what did you think of this?
I'm not that intrigued by it. Sort of serial killer thrillers. I don't know. It seems like maybe it's trying to be a little bit of Silence of the Lambs. You've got this guy who's been hunting the serial killer for a long time, and the serial killer's now playing games with him. So, at first glance, it doesn't seem to be that novel or interesting, but it could end up being more intelligent than I'm giving it credit for.
Yeah, the book is very popular. It's on my to be read list. So I think I'm in. I like these kind of films. It does very reminiscent of Silence of the Lambs, but in the snow.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm interested enough. I like Fassbender. It's directed by Tomas Alfredson, who I don't know much about. I think he directed Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which I enjoyed. He directed Let the Right One In, which is a really great film. So I don't know. I think I'm in.
Yeah, I'll wait until you tell me what you think.
All right. All right.
And if you think that I'll enjoy it, or if just you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of those. There's a lot of those. Hey, Michael, yeah, I saw a movie this weekend. You won't like it.
You'd hate it, yeah.
And then last on the 20th is Leatherface, which is the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre prequel. Even though there's already been a Texas Chainsaw Massacre prequel. So,
new.
Yeah.
What's with the horror movies and just having like 7 sequels?
It's it's easy.
Yeah.
They tend to do okay. Like I like some of the Halloween sequels, and I like some of the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels. It's just been a tradition in horror movies, especially horror movies where they're like one killer type horror movies.
Yeah, this is all part of my fascination with understanding the appeal of horror movies. because it seems like maybe after the first movie, the creepiness of the villain or whatever would be a little bit, dissolved.
Yeah, I think it's just like it's such a, like, the killer becomes like this huge recognizable character, like, Leatherface, Freddy, Jason. They're just these like kind of larger than life characters that it's just easy to build another movie around, because like everyone else in the movie is interchangeable. You just need to bring back this one guy and make another film, and so it's easy to do. They tend to do all right. I don't know. It's not necessarily a terrible thing, but I just could not care at all about this movie. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a wonderful film. If you like that kind of gross out horror type stuff, it's really good. I like it a lot. It messed me up the first time I saw it, but I don't know. I just don't care about this at all.
No.
All right.
Nor should you.
Speaking of things I don't care about at all, October 27th, Jigsaw.
Another horror sequel.
But this one is like, they ended the Saw movies, and now, years later, we're back. And here's the thing about the Saw movies. I actually quite like a lot of them, a lot. Like, I think they're fun, gross movies. And I think the Jigsaw villain is appealing from a story perspective. But, like, the concept of this movie is John Kramer is back. But the thing about that is he's been dead since, like, the third of the original movies. So, like, that's what all the other ones were about, too. And I just don't care. I just, like, the movies were over. They were done. They were like a staple of Halloween for 7 years in a row. And then we moved on from that. And now we're like, no, we have to bring it back.
Remember when you were calling me cynical for saying they wouldn't let a successful franchise like John Wick die?
But it had died. It was over. Why don't you just let it go?
It'll never die, Scott. It'll always come back.
It's going to come back, and then we're going to change the name slightly. It's not Saw anymore. It's Jigsaw.
That's a good idea for a horror movie where, like, you keep thinking some director is ashamed of a particular franchise and how long he dragged it on, and he keeps killing it, and then he keeps seeing, like, trailers for a new movie in the series that someone is making that's not him.
That's really... Actually, that's a good idea. It's actually a good idea.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that one.
It probably exists already.
Take that one and run with it.
It's so good of an idea that it might already exist somewhere.
Maybe.
Anyway, after Saw, when you decide not to see Jigsaw that weekend, because you should not, you can instead see Suburbicon, which is the new film written by the Coen brothers, directed by George Clooney, starring Matt Damon and Julianne Moore. Looks really fun.
But potentially, I mean, you have to see it in order to be cultured because it's a Coen Brothers movie. But I'm usually pretty mixed on their movies, to be honest. I really appreciate their kind of off style of things. And this movie looks like it has that a lot, that kind of weird sense of humor and kind of awkwardness of scenes that is usually delightful. But for me, their movies are usually like made or broken based on how the plot ends up feeling. And sometimes it ends up feeling really meandering and inconsequential. So we'll see how this movie ends up coming together in the end.
But that's the point, kind of, on those movies.
I mean, it's kind of the point, but you can do it in a way that is inconsequential, but still feels like it meant something. And you can do it in a way that is just like, well, why did I watch this movie? This was completely inconsequential.
For the characters, Michael, the amazing characters.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. They're not directing this movie, which normally would be a cause of concern for me, because I think whenever someone else tries to direct Coen writing, I don't think it turns out very well. However, George Clooney is directing this movie. And I think if I'm going to trust anyone to get down their style and their sense of humor and their timing in their writing, I think it's George Clooney. So that's why I have faith in this.
Has he directed before? What else has he directed?
Yes, he has. He has directed Monuments Men, which was not very good. The Ides of March, which was an okay movie. This is not going well. Leatherheads, which was not very good.
No. See, because Monument Men kind of felt like it was copying the Coen style a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't really work out. So so maybe that's what'll happen here. But
Well, at least this won't be copying. It'll be just
it'll be the real thing.
It'll be the real thing. Yeah, we'll see.
But,
I'm in though. I like the trailer. I think the trailer has enough funny, weird beats that make me want to go see it.
Yeah, I'll go see it.
All right. Also, on the 27th, this is in limited release, is The Killing of a Sacred Deer. This is Yorgos Lanthimos' follow-up movie to a film that I did not like very well, which was The Lobster.
I quite enjoyed The Lobster, actually.
Yeah, we could have a whole debate about that, but I don't want to go into that.
Yeah.
As much as I did not like The Lobster, I think the trailer for this film is excellent in building this weird, kind of uncomfortable, I'm not sure what's going on atmosphere. And I like the cast really well. He got Colin Farrell back. Nicole Kidman is great. I'll watch Nicole Kidman in anything. Alicia Silverstone, I haven't seen work in a long time, but...
Is this 1998?
But I like her, so we'll see what she can do here. I'm going to get to see this movie at Fantastic Fest next week. So
nice.
I will let you know. I'm very excited about it.
I doubt I'll have anywhere to watch it around here, but maybe I can see it eventually.
Yeah, it'll be out on streaming eventually.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It seems like a cool. I don't think horror is the right word for this movie, but it's got a generally creepy premise.
Yeah, and I think the trailer does a good job of setting the tone and the general atmosphere of the film without really telling what that premise is at all. I liked that trailer a lot. Like having a girl sing a cappella slowly behind your trailer just ups the creepiness factor a lot. Right. It was really effective.
It's kind of a tropey thing to do, but yeah, it worked well.
All right. So now we are leaving October behind. Halloween is over and we are moving into the holiday season. It's time for November, which means it's time for another Marvel movie. It's Thor Ragnarok. Michael?
Hooray.
Michael, are you in or out on Thor Ragnarok?
I'm out. I'm out of all Marvel movies from here until the end of time.
It's Taika Waititi, man. I am so excited about this movie.
Oh, it looks so stupid. We know the arena fight, and then the Hulk is there, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't know, you will be there."
I don't. You like hate fun.
Shut up.
You hate fun things.
Shut up, Thor. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know what it is. Well, I do know what it is. I mean, I hate the trailer because I feel myself being exploited, but I hate the movies just because they're so unimaginative and boring. The action is so boring at this point. Like, they're never in any danger, and they just have these extended fight scenes for the sake of the fight scenes.
We need to have a whole talk about what stakes in films are, and
yeah, we do, and
not. Like, just because a character is not going to die during the action scenes does not mean that the action scene does not have stakes.
They don't build up, like, for instance, in the movie where all the Avengers are together. Maybe it was called The Avengers.
I think, yes, it was.
There was, like, a floating city or something, and they, like, had to save the city. But, like, you don't give a crap about the city because you don't actually you haven't spent any time with any of the human characters living in the city. So the stakes are, like, objectively large because there's a lot of lives at stake, but you don't care about them because you have no connection to them. But it's like a monkey sphere kind of thing.
But you care about the Avengers, who not saving the lives would be a great failure for heroes that are trying really hard to save lives. Like, if the stakes are personal.
I don't. Oh no, they'll feel bad, but they won't, because they're always, like, throwing each other into buildings. And there's never a reaction from them, which is like, oh, I probably just killed a lot of people when I did that.
That's no.
I don't. It's a travesty. It's a travesty that these movies exist.
Agreed to disagree.
We should all fight them and call an end to this period of darkness that looms over all of cinema.
I feel like you just need to have a little tiny bit of fun. Just a little bit of fun.
It's not fun.
Just a little bit of fun.
People are getting hurt. It's ruining our children.
Oh my God. Anyway, let's move on to, surprisingly, there are not many movies releasing the weekend of Thor, almost as if everyone's going to go see that movie.
Right.
Unless they're heartless soulless people like Michael. So we're moving to the next week. We're moving to November 10th with Murder on the Orient Express. This is Kenneth Branagh's adaptation of the Agatha Christie novel. Branagh also stars, and it's got a bunch of other actors in this. This is a star-studded cast.
I'm very excited about this movie, actually.
I am too. However, the trailer with Imagine Dragons in it is straight up awful. Like, I did not like this trailer at all.
I liked the part of the trailer where the camera's like going through the little car, and then it's got all the characters, and it's like the governess, the professor, and then they like say one thing, and it's just this great kind of like I don't know. It's what is the word I'm looking for like a story with characters, like a play or something with like a bill of characters.
Yeah.
And it's not like a realistic thing, but it's done. It's a play.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
It's going to be great.
It's basically a bottle episode of a TV show, but in a movie form, because everyone's trapped on the same thing and nobody knows who to trust. Yeah, I mean, it's a great story. I don't know if you've ever read any Agatha Christie.
Yeah. Classic story.
Yeah. It's been made into a film before. It was a good movie. I like Kenneth Branagh a lot. I like the character of Poirot a lot, and so I'm in on this. Absolutely.
It looks like this has a style to it that will set it apart from just a movie that's telling the story of the book, which is good.
I agree. And while Johnny Depp is in it, he is the victim of the murder, and therefore will not be in it very long.
Thank God. Let's see how flamboyant he can make his death.
Well, hopefully we don't see the death, because that takes away a little bit of the mystery. But
yeah,
he'll probably find a way to wear some sort of goofy hat and die in some extravagant way.
Yep, wear a bunch of eye makeup and act slightly like a pedophile.
Yep.
And then die.
All right. Also coming out that same week, but in limited release, is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. This is the Martin McDonagh movie, who also directed such amazing, wonderful classics as In Bruges and Seven Psychopaths. I am very excited about this film. It looks great. The trailer is sharp and funny, but with that underlying kind of tragic darkness and black comedy that McDonagh does so well. I cannot wait for this film.
Yeah, it seems great. It's got an appealing title. The trailer doesn't reveal too much, which is a good thing, because I just kind of want to go in and see where he takes it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll definitely watch this one.
Yeah. So I think that's all we really have to say about that. Go watch the trailer for this if you don't know what the film is about. I guess I should read the little summary here. A mother personally challenges the local authorities to solve her daughter's murder. When they fail to catch a culprit, she does that basically by putting up 3 billboards that basically call out the chief of police directly. And it's wonderful. It's got Peter Dinklage in it, Sam Rockwell, and Frances McDormand as the lead, which is, I like her so much. So God, I can't wait for this movie.
I like that the trailer didn't try to exploit Peter Dinklage's fame by featuring him all over the place. There's like one little scene where he was there, and it's just like good. He just let him act subtly as a role, and don't try to parade him out as like, it's great.
I completely agree. Yeah. So moving on to November 17th, Michael, it's time for Justice League. That was a long sigh.
Yeah, well, I feel the same way about the Justice League movies as I do about the Marvel movies.
Okay.
Although I generally, and I've said this on multiple podcasts where you've had me talk about DC movies, I kind of appreciate that DC for a while has been trying to develop its own take on superhero movies, but failing. But this, I think, is them resigning themselves to copying Marvel exactly.
I hope so, because it'd be better than what they've been doing. No, I mean, so I think this movie is going to still be very distinctly Zack Snyder, even though Joss Whedon has stepped into the director's chair and is helping finish the movie out. I don't know. I'm not excited, but I'm curious. I want to see what they're gonna do. I want to see if I can tell how much they shifted the movie around after Wonder Woman became as big as it did. I want to see what they're gonna do with the tone.
I think they have been realizing Wonder Woman might be their best bet since Batman versus Superman, because she got praise for that, for her role in that movie, even though it was a terrible movie.
Yeah,
and people were interested to see more. So I suspect she'll feature prominently, but the other characters they haven't done anything with yet. So
yeah, I mean Aquaman and here's the thing: Cyborg looks like a wet blanket that I don't give a shit about at all. Flash seems like the right kind of funny, and I don't know about Aquaman at all.
Aquaman's just a terrible idea for a superhero.
I don't know if I agree with that, but
it's a terrible. He's always been shit. So,
okay.
But Cyborg is from the Teen Titans, I believe, or
not originally, but yes,
he's in the Teen Titans. I'm not sure if that was his. So that wasn't his original thing.
No.
But Teen Titans is a great thing that DC owns. Where the original cartoons were good, they remade the cartoons, and those are supposedly popular. And it has kind of a unique tone to it that could probably be adapted to movies. But they insisted on going with Justice League, which was never an exciting concept.
Well, see, I understand. Justice League has their most popular characters in it. It has Superman, it's got Batman.
Yeah.
Green Lantern is normally in Justice League, but since that movie did so bad, they've just temporarily written him out.
All of the movies have done so bad except Wonder Woman. So
yeah,
what are they hoping to do here?
Well, Michael, they're going to bring back Superman. They're hiding that still, but they're definitely going to bring back Superman. And since he's going to be reborn, maybe that'll be an excuse for them to write him to the adaptation of Superman that people actually like, instead of the asshole, ho-hum, I'm sad about things guy. I don't know. But they're also doing the Flash movie is, I don't know if you knew this, that the Flash movie that they're doing is from the Flashpoint series, which is basically when Barry Allen goes back in time and completely changes the timeline, which is a really convenient way for them just to reboot their entire universe.
Over. Oh, interesting.
So I don't know if that's what they're doing or not, but DC is in an interesting place right now, and it's gotten me interesting enough to where I'm willing to go see this movie and see what they came up with, especially since I like Joss Whedon's work a lot. I want to see how his work meshes with Zack Snyder's type stuff and see what we get. I don't know.
Superheroes are just so in right now. Even though all of their movies have gotten terrible reviews, they've all made a profit, right?
Yeah.
So I guess there's no risk here, but I feel like most people have kind of made up their mind about DC at this point.
Yeah. That's true. It'll be interesting. I think it's probably gonna. I don't think
it's going to make money. I think it'll definitely make money because but in a way where everyone's like, well, I have to see this movie, I guess, because it's a big thing. They sure marketed it a lot.
DC movies have yet to break that $1 billion line, which is kind of a big deal. I think they were all expecting Batman versus Superman to be that movie because it's a movie with Batman and Superman in it. It didn't happen. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see if this is the movie that finally breaks that $1 billion barrier. I think it could be. I think you have enough people that are willing, that are fans of the characters, and then you have all the people that liked Wonder Woman and say, I want to see more Wonder Woman. Well, she's in this movie. It could be that movie. So we'll see.
Could be.
Speaking of wonder things, these transitions, Michael, I'm killing it. November 17th is the movie Wonder. This is based on a best-selling kids book by the same name. And when I say best-selling, this is one of the big children's stories of the past few years. So this is going to be a big hit, I think. It's directed by Steven Chbosky, who did Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is a really fantastic movie. And he wrote the book as well. Perks of Being a Wallflower is great. You should watch it. So I am into this movie. I think it's interesting. It's about a boy who has facial scarring or difference. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with his face, but it obviously leads to him getting ostracized in his school. And it's one of those heartwarming type films that has Julia Roberts and Owen Wilson in it, and Jacob Tremblay, the breakout star from Room, the movie a couple years ago, is starring. So it's gonna be a huge movie.
Yeah, I don't really like my heart to be warmed.
It's because it's dead. Because you don't even like. It's not like Thor.
Maybe. Yeah. No. It's just. I mean, you can kind of see exactly where this movie's going. Where there's like this kid and he's having trouble fitting in, and then he makes some friends, and then everyone's happy and they learn a lesson, and then they learn a lesson from him, and like, oh, he's got this wisdom. Oh, we could all learn from this kid, and isn't life so full of wonder, possibilities?
Yeah, that's exactly what the movie is. But I think sometimes you need that, Michael. Especially since this is geared towards children, I think.
I suppose it's good for children to have positive movies every now and then.
I think everyone needs their heart warmed, even you.
We'll see.
All right. So now we move on to the 22nd, which is Thanksgiving. So this is the big Thanksgiving weekend. The first movie is Pixar's new film, Coco. Michael, what did you think about the trailer to Coco?
It didn't really appeal to me directly as an idea, but Pixar is usually pretty good about making movies, so this one might be good.
I think so. It's directed by Lee Unkrich. I think that's how you say his name. Who's directed Toy Story 3. He's one of Pixar. Like Pixar just like rotates people around. Like I think he was a former editor and like animator, and then they pulled him up to director. Same with Adrian Molina, who's co-directing it. Who this is his first time in the director's seat, but that's just kind of how Pixar operates. They just cycle around. But I think, first of all, I think the animation looks beautiful. Like I think this is some of Pixar's best work, animation wise. I think it looks interesting. I'm curious if like this has enough like of a draw for kids just based off the trailer to pull them in.
It's not like the normal fantastical concept.
Right.
That it appeals to kids.
You don't have like a talking fish to make kids go, oh, I don't see the fishies talk.
Yeah.
Or the cars.
Or like superheroes or cars or something that makes kids interested right away. Do you think this is still do you think maybe this is like more trying to appeal to all of the adults who like Pixar as well?
Yeah,
favored more toward that side.
I do. I think it's just one of like, because this is a double Pixar year, right? We had Cars 3, which is definitely, well, although that was much more adult oriented film too. Like that was much more darker of a film than I thought it was going to be. But I think Pixar, this movie seems like Cars 3 was the movie they made because Disney told them to.
Right.
Coco is a movie that they've been trying to make for a very long time. Originally there was this whole thing with, they wanted to name the movie The Day of the Dead. And then, they tried to copyright that term, which, Mexico had kind of a problem with because that's their holiday. So there was a lot of backlash about that. So the movie's gotten pushed. The movie's gotten reworked. They've been working on this film for a long time. So I think at the core of this thing, there's a really good central idea, and I don't know what it is yet, but it seems like this is one of those movies where they had this idea and they wanted to make this thing, and they've been working on it for a long time. Like, so this could be another type of Inside Out thing where
there's a clear vision behind it, and someone cares about it.
Right. So I'm tentatively excited, but I think the difficulty here will be the draw for the children's. Will they be into seeing this movie or not?
Right.
All right. Also on the 22nd is Molly's Game. This is Aaron Sorkin's first directorial film. He wrote the screenplay. It's based off of the book. It's based off a true story, Michael. About Molly Bloom, who was
I noticed.
Olympic skier, ran a high stakes poker game and became an FBI target. She wrote a book. Aaron Sorkin adapted the book, and he is directing. It stars Jessica Chastain, Idris Elba, and Kevin Costner. What did you think about Molly's Game, the trailer?
Well, it's just the same as all the other biopics. And it's got the same sort of annoying tone of like the main characters being kind of interviewed, and she's got she's just like made to seem really cool and genius and like planning all this stuff out, and like I'm a criminal and you can't.
But she
touch.
is, Michael.
Yeah, she is, but but yeah, I'm not excited at all about any of these biopics.
Okay, but here's my counterpoint to you.
Okay,
Aaron Sorkin.
Why? Remind me why I should care.
Because Aaron Sorkin's one of the greatest screenwriters of ever.
What are some of the movies that would impress me?
Well, The West Wing, Michael.
Oh
my God. He wrote the Facebook movie.
Okay, that was good.
He wrote Newsroom. He wrote Steve Jobs. He wrote Sports Night, which I actually never watched, but I hear it's very good. He wrote Moneyball. He wrote A Few Good Men.
Moneyball was all right.
He's just a prolific and incredible writer.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I think this movie is going to be extremely forgettable.
I hate you so much. No, Aaron Sorkin's one of my favorite writers, and I'm very interested to see how he does as a director. So that's kind of, I think the plot is interesting to me, but on a movie nerd level, I want to see what Aaron Sorkin, the director, looks like.
I'll allow you to have that opinion.
I understand why you feel the way you do, though.
Yeah.
All right. Also coming out on Thanksgiving, although in limited release, is Oscar favorite Darkest Hour. This is Joe Wright's biopic about Winston Churchill. And I think this is right when he becomes the prime minister, and he's got to decide whether to appease Hitler or to fight Hitler. And Gary Oldman is playing Churchill, and Gary Oldman is going to win an Academy Award. So I'll just put that out there right now. That's going to happen. What did you think about this trailer?
Yeah, same thing. It's another biopic about another character who's like a misunderstood genius who solves everyone's problems. And I the convenient thing about this one is that Winston Churchill has a lot of great quotes, which I'm sure will be sprinkled throughout the whole movie to make him seem even cooler. But I hate this idea for movies. I hate it. Like, one, maybe we could discuss or I can try to clarify some of my positions of why I hate biopics. But first of all, like, no one's life is constructed to be like in narrative form. They usually have to really stretch things to fit it into a proper narrative arc, and sometimes it doesn't work at all. And I really hate the idea of this like a great man theory of history, where there were like a few of these genius revolutionaries that no one understood that changed the world against all odds. And so everything about these movies annoys me. And also the new thing that annoys me about them is how clearly they are constructed to win acting Oscars because of their history with this, like Eddie Redmayne playing Stephen Hawking, and what's his face playing Alan Turing, and like all of these things. And it's just so transparent, and they need to get in the basement with the superhero movies.
So in your opinion, we should never write a film about events that happen in real life?
I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to, but I think in this particular age of cinema history, someone needs to speak out against these movies.
And that's going to be you.
How they're infecting our theaters with this transparent, manipulative dribble, and the acting's not even that good. There, I said it.
I think Gary Oldman looks incredible here, but This is
more about doing impressions than it is acting.
Okay, I think you're wrong, but
I, for one, will boycott this movie, and I call upon all of you listeners to do the same.
Okay, let me know how that works out.
Okay.
We are moving into December, though. And Michael, December 8th, The Disaster Artist which
another movie based on a true story. Oh, hooray. James Franco, do you want an Oscar?
This is James Franco's adaptation of the novel written by one of the stars of Disaster Artist, or of The Room, Greg Sestero, who wrote a novel about his experience making The Room, which has become the most well-known of bad movies that you like because they're so bad. It's about Tommy Wiseau, who's played by James Franco, who's also directing. And I don't know what's wrong with you, Michael, because this movie looks wonderful.
I mean, it's a little bit more interesting to do a biopic about someone who's a massive failure than someone who changed the world through their misunderstood brilliance.
But he's not a massive failure.
Well, he's not.
He's a success because he was a massive failure. Exactly.
But the twist here is that he's not a misunderstood genius. He's properly understood for being awful. And so it's a more interesting character to explore, I suppose. I was kind of interested in this as I was watching it because I recently saw, I think it was like a Vox short documentary or something about this movie and like the cult status that The Room has found in a way similar to like the Rocky Horror Picture Show or whatever, where they'll put on screenings of it and everyone will be like quoting it and stuff during the movie.
Yeah.
Which I can understand, I guess, the appeal of, but ultimately it's a bad movie because it's a bad movie. So maybe this will be like a comedic take on the making of that. But
see, the thing that's appealing to me is like, if you were just to make a movie about making fun of Tommy Wiseau and his bad movie he made, I think that would be boring. What I think is interesting here is that as much as it is going to be making fun of Wiseau and making fun of The Room, it also seems to be like taking the story seriously and finding the moments of heart and real passion behind the creating of this stuff. Because as bad as Wiseau was, like, you can't argue that he wasn't passionate about trying to make this thing. And I think that's what the movie seems to be capturing.
Yeah, and I give this movie more credit than all of the biopics about, like, historical legends and books that have come out recently. It seems like there might be a little bit more of an idea behind this movie.
Okay. I just looked at all the movies we have left and how many of them are biopics, and I'm like, shit.
This is my point.
Okay, so also December 8th with The Disaster Artist is The Shape of Water. This is Guillermo del Toro's new fairy tale love story between a fish monster and a mute woman. It stars Michael Shannon, Sally Hawkins. I think this movie looks beautiful. It's done very well in it's already premiered in some film festivals. It's done very well there. I am a big fan of Del Toro, so I'm really into this. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I really loved Pan's Labyrinth. It was a very powerful movie. And this is perhaps got a similar tone to it. But I think it could be very good or it could be very bad, depending on how much sort of meaning it has. Because Pan's Labyrinth felt like it had a lot of meaning and significance behind it. And we'll see if this one comes together in the same way, as well as just being kind of this little fairy tale situation.
Yeah, and this is an original script, Michael.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is not very an adaptation. This is very not a biopic.
Guillermo.
I get Del Toro. Like, I don't know if you ever saw Crimson Peak. Crimson Peak got pretty mixed reviews. Some people didn't like it as much. I adored that movie. Like the visuals, the camera work in that film was stupendous, and this looks to be in the very same vein. So, yeah, I'm gonna go see it. Okay. Also, December 8th, All the Money in the World, which is a based on a true story film about the kidnapping of Getty Oil Company CEO's grandson. This movie is directed by Ridley Scott. It stars Kevin Spacey as Getty. It has Michelle Williams, who is an incredible actress in it, and Mark Wahlberg, who is not a good actor.
That's mean.
I don't think he is. Michael, All the money in the world. Do you have anything
No.
new to say about based on a true story movies?
I'm already bored.
I will say, I like Michelle Williams a lot. Out of all the based on true story movies we've covered, though, I am the least interested in this one, and I can't really put my finger on why.
Well, it's not an interesting story. I mean, like, a rich guy's son gets kidnapped, and then, like, they kind of negotiate, and some ear gets lost in the mail or something, and I don't see where they're going to go with it.
Yeah, the story is, Paul Getty is not going to pay. Like, he just is, like, a thing that's been made fun of in movies so many times since then, that the miserly, like, rich old guy just doesn't care enough about his kid to actually pay. And that was something that actually happened in real life. But I don't know.
How much can you do in a movie about that,
Here's the thing, though. Like, I don't think Ridley Scott is good at directing, like, believable human characters. Like, I think Ridley Scott's best characters are always robots. So I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm just not as into this.
I mean,
film.
Yeah, there's Ripley.
Yeah, but Ripley was, I think people remember Ripley because of Aliens, not because of Alien. I mean, she was great in that movie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but Alien was great. But yeah, maybe not. Maybe that wasn't really down to the directing so much as just the script of the movie and the acting.
I think so, but that's an unpopular opinion. People very much love Ridley Scott, so Alien Covenant was bad. Anyway.
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on to Star Wars: The Last Jedi, December 15th. The biggest movie of the year comes out.
I haven't heard about Star Wars before. What is this movie about?
So we've talked about this. The funny thing is, I don't know. We haven't had a full trailer for this film yet because it's Star Wars, and they don't feel the need to do that until they start ramping up the final marketing.
They didn't really even have any of the story of The Force Awakens in the trailer. It was more just like X-Wing, guy with the lightsaber,
right?
Stuff like that. And they're doing that again. Yep,
that's true. We've talked about this. We talked about this at the top. We've talked about it many times before. I am in because of Rian Johnson. That's it. So. Yeah,
I haven't decided. I have seen all the Star Wars movies thus far, but at some point I need to take a stand, like I have with superhero movies and biopics. And this might be the turning point.
You're
for Star
quickly
Wars.
running out of movies to see.
I know.
Okay. Well, let's move on then to the next week, the 22nd of December, and let's talk about Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
When I first heard about this movie and saw like an advertisement poster for it, I was annoyed that Jumanji was going to be a movie again. But it actually looks like it might be funny. It's a completely different take on it than the previous movie and the book even.
I feel exactly the same. I thought this was a really stupid idea. I couldn't believe they were making this movie. And then the first trailer came out and I was like, oh, okay. I like what they're doing. They're doing to video games what Jumanji kind of did to board games. And I'm into that.
Yeah, and I like how they've used Jack Black and Dwayne Johnson here as kind of subverting their usual movie roles, because Dwayne Johnson plays like the video game version of like a nerd, and so there's some funny things that can happen there. And Jack Black was like a female before transformed into the video game.
Yeah. And
Kevin Hart is just generally funny in the way he acts about things, like even if there's no joke involved.
Yeah.
So I could see it being pretty good, actually.
And my favorite thing is I remember when the first images of this movie came out and you saw Karen Gillan as the Ruby Roundhouse character who's like dressed completely inappropriately for the jungle.
Yeah.
And like everyone on the internet like flipped out about it. And then the trailer for the movie came out and they're like, oh yeah, that was intentional. We're doing a thing.
They're making fun of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if that was always the case, or that was a really, really clever re-edit.
I mean, I think you'd have to completely change the film around. So
maybe, yeah, but yeah, it seems like it might be pretty funny.
Yeah. I am shockingly into it. I did not expect that, but yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. All right. Also on the 22nd is Downsizing. This is the new Alexander Payne film, starring Matt Damon, Christoph Waltz, and Kristen Wiig, and it is a film about people who shrink themselves and live in a tiny world that is cheaper, because I guess when you're tiny you need less food, and so your $50,000 turns into $13 million.
Right.
It's a very interesting concept. I like Alexander Payne a lot. His films always kind of fascinate me, so I'm into this one.
I really, really like the idea. I like science fiction movies and their complete exploration of ideas. And this is a good one. It totally makes sense that if you could shrink yourself down and your money would be worth way more, and you could just kind of retire and live an awesome life as a tiny person, you would do it. I would do it. But the problem with this trailer is that it never hints at any plot. Like, they just shrink themselves down and then they're living in this little small world, and then you never see anything related to the problem or the story. You want the I don't want it to be spoiled, but I want there to be some emotions in the trailer, I think, besides just like a fascination with this small world.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there is a possibility that a later trailer will show that. I mean, I'm sure there's conflict. There's going to be issues related to being small that I'm sure will be explored, and problems.
Yeah, and hopefully it's an interesting enough conflict that the movie is good. But the idea is very good, and this could be a cool science fiction movie.
Yeah. Do you like Alexander Payne's other films? Are you a Payne fan?
What is name some?
He did The Descendants. He did Sideways. He did Election, the Matthew Broderick, and why am I blanking on her name? She's Reese Witherspoon.
Election was good.
Yeah.
I don't remember the other ones very well.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm big on him. I'll see any of his new films. So. All right.
Yes.
So now we're at the end of the year. We're on the 25th. We're on Christmas Day itself. Comes out.
Could it be another biopic?
Kind of. Here we have The Greatest Showman, Michael Gracey's based on a true story tale of P.T. Barnum, played by Hugh Jackman, and the creation of his circus. And Michael, this is a musical, even though the trailer kind of tries to hide that for some reason.
Huh. Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, because the trailer refuses to acknowledge it, because I guess people see the word musical and they get scared. But yeah, this is a musical.
Hugh Jackman just loves to sing.
He does. He does love to sing.
Can't hold him back. You sing your heart out, Hugh Jackman.
So I'm guessing you're not into this, as it is.
No, this movie looks terrible. I mean, like the whole thing about like the Barnum and Bailey circus, it's kind of being like celebrated here. And I don't really like circuses. I don't really see them as like a crowning achievement of mankind or P.T. Barnum.
Well, it is interesting that the timing of this movie is coming out when Barnum and Bailey have basically said, we're taking all the animals out of our circus. Like, the opinion of circuses has not been as low as it is now, I think, ever before. So, but I think there's something to the idea of gathering all the people that are shunned by society.
Right. That's how they're kind of spinning it. But, I've got to be a little bit more cynical about the actual opening of the circus, where all of these people were being exploited as oddities to be looked at in a zoo.
Yeah. And I think that's fair. But I do like musicals. So I don't know. I want to see it. I like musicals. I want a trailer to come out where they admit that it's a musical and show actual singing. But I don't know.
Maybe the songs are terrible.
It could be. Maybe that's what they're afraid of. I don't know. I think we're going to get more trailers before this comes out, and hopefully one of them will admit it. But it very much feels like a Christmas Day movie, though. So it doesn't surprise me. This is a movie I think you'd take your family to have some fun. I don't know.
Yes, teach them all of the valuable life lessons about exploiting
women with
strange
facial
people.
hair.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it. That's the year. That's the rest of our year.
Well, it's not a great year.
I don't know what you're talking about. There are so many good movies on that list, and I'm very excited for the fall.
I'm disappointed for the future of humanity.
Oh, wow. That's dramatic.
All that this predicts about our values and our lives.
All right.
The absurdity of existence.
Okay. So let's pick things up a little bit here, Michael, and let's end the show. Let's talk about what we've been watching or reading or doing or playing and you go.
Well, I watched the movie Burnt on Netflix, starring Bradley Cooper as a chef.
Oh boy.
Did you watch it?
I have seen that, yes.
Yeah. It was, one of those movies about a genius who no one understands and thus deserves to be an asshole to people. Which I hate. But it kind of had a pretty good ending where he learns to value people and to be more comfortable. And yeah, it was pretty forgettable, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. I was racking my brain trying to think, besides this is a movie about Bradley Cooper being a chef, what the movie was about. And I can't remember. So
it was about it was about him like trying to win his 3 Michelin stars.
Yeah.
And he assembles this group of people he used to know to help him do it, but he treats them all like garbage, and then later he learns not to.
See, this is why I never liked that show House, because it's just like a guy who's so smart he gets to be an asshole. This is why I hate every movie Benedict Cumberbatch has ever done. And he's coming out with another one where he's the same character, The Current War, which I thought was coming out this year, actually, but it wasn't on the list. I mean, we didn't do all the movies, so we
didn't do it, but that's going to be a big one. And he's playing Thomas Edison as a misunderstood genius who gets to be an asshole to everyone.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's staying in your lane, Cumberbatch.
Yeah, I feel like he's typecasted himself a little bit more with that one. But
all right, well, we already talked about mine a little bit because I got carried away talking about Mother, but I saw Mother. I don't know how people are writing reviews of this film. I really don't, because I don't know how to talk about this movie in any way that doesn't spoil it.
Right.
It's Javier Bardem and Jennifer Lawrence live in a house in the middle of the country. The house has been burned down, and Lawrence has systematically been like rebuilding it, while Bardem is a poet who is suffering from writer's block. And then some people show up, and they won't leave. And then more people show up, and they won't leave. And then things escalate from there, and it's this crazy metaphor within a metaphor, within an allegory, and things get insane. And I would never want to spoil anything for anyone. But this is a very difficult movie to watch. If you have had trouble with Aronofsky's previous films, you're going to have some difficulty with this one as well. There's some pretty brutal scenes. There's a lot of stuff being thrown at the camera in a way that can be overwhelming to your sight and ears. And I don't know what else to say other than
sounds intense.
Yeah, I literally do not know how to talk about this movie in a way that does not give away the central thesis of the film. And I would never want to do that, because coming to that realization while you're watching it is part of the part I enjoyed so much. So
I feel like I might have to watch this movie.
Yeah, you might hate it, but it will be an experience.
Well, will I hate it? Is this movie I'll hate?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know.
Cool. Well, we'll find out.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. That's all we had for this week. Next week, I am going to be gone. I'm going to Fantastic Fest on Wednesday. I'm going to be at Fantastic Fest until September 29th. So we will not have an episode next week unless, Michael, you are able to wrangle someone and record something, which awesome if you will, but not required.
Yeah, I think that can probably be arranged.
All right. So Michael will be taking over full hosting duties next week and do something fun, Michael.
Maybe we'll talk about biopics.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, that's all we had for this week. You can find information about the Daily Planet at www.dailyplanetfilms.com. You can follow us on Twitter at dailyplanetfilms. You can reach out to us on email at dailyplanetfilms@gmail.com. And if you're listening on iTunes, please review and rate us and do all that stuff. It really helps people see us. This week, we're going to do another episode of your podcast, Michael, So-Called Writers. We'll have another episode of that.
Yes. It's been fun.
Yeah, we'll have another Worm episode, and I think that's it for this week. And then it's going to be fun. So just check out all those at dailyplanetfilms.com. And Michael, thanks again. You're wrong about most things, but that's why I have you on here, so we don't always agree on things.
The people will eventually awaken to the disaster.
Multi-billion-dollar industry, Michael. It's not going anywhere.
It's going. It's peaked, and now it's time for its slow and painful death.
Oh my God, that's dramatic. All right. We'll see you all next week.
The podcast is over. It's done. We hope you all had some fun. Go back to your work or your school. Maybe the gym. Hey, that's cool. Regardless, just go away. But please come back next